Hey, you're here with Dr. Oliver T. Reed, the relationship architect. I look like my father, but I never had a chance to even embrace him as a father, really. I got my inspiration in a lot of areas from my mother, who was a spiritual person who kept me in church. But I turned my story, guys, my story of pain, my story of rejection, my story of fear, into power. I started my journey at a young age. See, I was told by my 6th grade teacher that I wrote too colorful, that I need to tone it back a little. But that was my outlet in how I expressed my pain. Through the abuse, through the abandonment, I fell in love with the pencil. Guys, I fell in love with the paper. I fell in love with the ability to tell my story. And I go back to my 6th grade teacher who said, hey, you need to tone it back a little. I think your writing is not up to par. It's too colorful. Quit trying to use so many descriptive words. But I pushed myself, and guys, you know what? I won my first oratorical contest in the 6th grade. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. I wrote about the dream of Martin Luther King. I wrote about certain things. I fell in love with writing. Never forget, fast forward, I stood in my drama class. And my drama teacher told me in middle school, by this time I was in the 8th grade, she said, you have a gift. You have a gift of writing. She said, I want you to enter into the Optimist oratorical contest so that you can share with people your passion. I was so excited, so elated. Guys, I was doing what I love. And I can remember weeks and weeks and weeks. I wrote a whole poem that was 5 minutes long, and it was a monologue, and it rhymed. I was so excited. I stood before this all-white council of judges, and I can remember like it was yesterday. I said, if I could see tomorrow, I would forget about the things today. I would focus on the brighter things and still show others the way. I would tell them that drugs and violence is not how it's done, but by giving, by living, by sharing with everyone. If I can see tomorrow, I will remember a man by the name of Dr. Martin Luther King that shouted from every mountaintop, let every freedom ring. I was there. Excuse me, I was there in that moment, not a dry eye in the place. Only to get to the final seconds where I remember when the judge stood up from the Optimist Club, and I was very proud, my mother gazing in the audience. See, I was a little project kid from the inner city of Charlotte who grew up on Section 8, but at this particular point, I was a writer, I was an orator, I was ready. The judge fumbled through his paper and he said, in 3rd place, such and such and such. I said, okay. Going up higher. In 2nd place, such and such and such. I said, hold up, wait a minute. This is my moment. This is my moment in time. I know I got number one in the first place. I won this thing. Even the judges were crying. To my demise, he got up and he said, first place winner goes to another candidate. I was literally broken that day, guys. Those that are watching me on their screen, I said, I vow that I would never, ever again write. I was heartbroken. I looked at my mother and said, I will never again write. I will never again put my feelings out to the world to be rejected. For years, I didn't write, so I thought. But then I fell in love with this thing called hip hop. If you know what hip hop is, we were doing the WAP. It was in the 90s and everything was fresh. I had to get these feelings off my chest. So I must confess, I was really pressed. I grabbed that pen and began to press. I started writing raps and my name was Mystery. I had a group called High Frequency. I was writing and rapping in clubs and writing on the block and rapping at school. I fell in love with hip hop, another version of writing. I couldn't stop. So even when I had my mental breakdown in 1995 and I tried to end my life, when I bounced back, guys, I still wrote about it. I didn't just land as a multi-best-selling author. I began to press, even though I didn't know I was being pressed. I began to use the material like the rejection of my father, the divorce, the abandonment, the suicide attempt. And I began to do three things that I'm going to challenge as a mentee, each of you on the other side to do. Because I believe in you and I feel like you have something in you, even though something may say to you, someone, some person, something may say to you that you don't have a voice and that you're not good enough to write, and you may be afraid to express your fears. You may be afraid to express your story, and you may be afraid to talk about whatever it is that you want to write about. And I want to encourage you. I began to do some basic things that I'm going to share with you real quick. I began to milk the crisis. Say that with me on the other side. Milk the crisis. What do you mean? Relationship architect, Dr. Oliver Reed, what are you saying? I'm glad you asked. Milk. Do you remember that commercial that came out in the early 2000s? Said you got milk. Everybody was wearing the shirt, got milk. But I began to see something deeper in the meaning of that word, milk. So I'm going to give you some basic keys because, I believe in each and every one of you on the other side. And I want to mentor you to show you how to express yourself in such a way that you can use your pain as fuel. My God, whew, I didn't come here to preach. But you can use your pain. Milk. The first letter in the word milk is M. M. That M stands for milk the crisis. M means the message. You went through something. Maybe your story wasn't like my story. Maybe you didn't have an abusive stepfather. Maybe you didn't have a father that rejected you. Maybe you wasn't suicidal, but you have some material. The M is material, that message that you can use. A lot of times we're looking around and say we don't have any material, but your life speaks for itself. All right? M is the message. What message do you want to convey in your story, in your autobiography, in your narrative, in your novel? What is it that you want to express? The message. I is the implementation. Say it. I, implementation. I implement. I implement. One of the biggest things you have to understand is that even if you got a message, you have to know how to implement. Be very strategic in what you do and take your readers on a journey of you. All right? Implement means that you have to get a system. You have to sign up. You have to do something. It is a call to action. It's something that you must do. You must say. Implement your message. All right? The next letter in the word milk is L. L. Say that with me. L. L represents the lessons learned. What lessons did you learn along your journey? People will pay you for the lessons that you learned. Make sure that when you write your book, your bestseller, you are taking the readers on the lessons that you learned as a writer. We want to know what you learned. One of the most powerful people who've done that in history, I think one of the most inspirational and creative interviewers was Oprah Winfrey. She was able to take people's crisis, their mess, their junk, and actually get the lessons learned, and then guess what? Those people became famous. All right, you have L. Excuse me, L, the lessons learned. All right, then the last one. Oh, I love this. Last one is knowledge. K. K. Say that with me. K for knowledge. Knowledge. K. Knowledge is another thing people will pay you for. What do you want the reader to gain from reading your book? What do you want them to know? One of the biggest things that I will give you a point, I'm telling you a tidbit here, is that guess what? You don't just want to write a book. You want to become a book. Woo! Catch it. Let me rewind. You don't just want to write a book. You want to become a book. You want to open up so that people can read your story and feel a connection. Feel a connection, feel a power. So M, let's recap, is the message. I, implement the message. L, the lessons that you learn. And K, the knowledge, the overview. How do you apply this to your life? When I finish reading your book, I should gain some type of insight, some type of knowledge that I didn't have before I read your book. Or if I did know it, I've got a different perspective. Milk the crisis, guys. I'm challenging you on the other side to get with me as a writing coach. I've helped so many other people across the nation write books. I'm a best-selling author because I continue to use the material that God gives me. Use the milk, the crisis, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the fearful stuff, the lonely stuff. And I want you to begin to write and become a book, because you have a talent, you have a skill, you have a voice. This has been the Relationship Architect. I want you to win. And guess what? I'm gonna leave you with this before I run out. The way you'll win this competition is put it all on the table. Milk your crisis. Talk about the things that you're afraid of. Talk about the things that give you lumps in your throat. Find a way to exercise through the pain. And you'll win this contest if you open up, be genuine, and begin to look around you, because you have material in your hand. Talk to you soon. Connect with me at Your Relationship Architect. All right? Talk to you soon. I love to be your coach. I love to push you to the next level. Remember, you are a solution to a well thought out plan. Talk to you soon.